Many of us might not have met a deaf or mute person yet, hence, have never had to use sign language, but we do have people that use sign language to communicate and are limited because of their disabilities. In our schools, these people are not catered for and can only finish primary schools. This is because we don't have sign language interpreters skilled enough to teach it at the secondary level. Most of the time, interpreters from the US volunteer at schools for short periods of time to help these children get an education as a normal person. One of the best sign language interpreters in the United States is in Toledo, and on Tuesday, she held a class at the Punta Gorda Library to teach any interested persons about sign language. We spoke to the sign language interpreter, Miss Darlene Goodrich, who told us more.
I am from Massachusetts, and I went to school. I started school there to be an interpreter, and then I transferred to University of South Florida in Tampa, Florida. And I finished my bachelor's degree, became a sign language interpreter, and I've worked there for about 10 years. First time I came to Belize was 2 years ago last month, and I was working for a university in Florida that did a study abroad, the program for Belize. And there were 9 students who came. 8 of them were hearing students and 1 deaf student. So the college hired me to come here, and I worked 5 days at Hillbank and 5 days out at Southwater Key. But when I got here, the very first person I met was a deaf man in a store. I wasn't in the country maybe 30 minutes and met a deaf man and realized that the same sign language is used here as in the States. And after talking to tour guides and whatnot, then they told me, oh, you should come here. We don't have enough people who do your job. And I thought maybe I would come here in 25 years and retire, and I just started looking up information and found that there are few to none interpreters here and no formal sign language training. So I've been coming back and forth for 2 years now trying to advocate for that.
And how do you think getting more sign language advocates to come into Belize will benefit the country?
I think right now there are some interpreters and some teachers of the deaf who come in from the States who are missionaries, but people come and volunteer and they're here for a very short time. I think what needs to happen, well, my perspective of what needs to happen is have a formal training here for teachers of deaf kids and also for interpreters, but it needs to be people who are Belizean, who know all the different languages, know the culture, the main culture here and the different subcultures, and who are here all the time, not someone. It's nice when the missionaries come, but I think it should be a sustainable profession here and have Belizean people work with Belizean people.
She also told us why it is important for the government to get more interpreters in Belize.
Tell us how vital and urgent it is to get interpreters in every district of this country.
For education, of course, is a priority. If the children who can hear there's such a push for education in this country right now, it should be equal for children who can't hear. They just have a different language, basically. As far as when somebody goes to the hospital, I don't think anyone would want to go to a hospital in another country where they don't know the language and try to communicate something that's wrong. It could be life-threatening. Well, if a deaf person goes to the hospital or goes to the doctor, they either have somebody who comes to a parent or someone who speaks for them and may not even know the full problem, or people write back and forth. A lot of miscommunication. I've seen even in the States there have been people who have become severely ill or passed away because they couldn't. Somebody could have a pain and it could be an appendix, and that's a simple operation, but if you can't communicate that, your appendix could burst and you can die. So if you don't have that communication, it's urgent. It's just equal communication for everyone.
A lot of people might not have even met a deaf person before. Are there a lot of deaf people in Belize?
There are several thousand deaf people. I have a Facebook page, Sign Language Belize, and as most people, probably about 90 to 95% of the people on there are from Belize, and a lot of deaf people on there. And I've heard, that's how I've met several deaf people. I only met a few in person here coming, but through online I get emails all the time saying, please come here, we need this, I don't like going to the doctor, or this happens, miscommunication happens, or I can't go to university, or I can't go to IT vets, but people who have never met a deaf person or have seen them and don't know the language, they don't know that these deaf people have these complaints.
There's more news ahead after the break, so please stay tuned.